It's Friday the 15th of August 2025. You're welcome back. It's a beautiful day here. Years ago, this used to be the day out to the Black Rock and County Louth to the seaside. Long ago, kind of died out now with Benny Dorman, Lanzarote and places like that. So anyway, the weather is so good you could actually go to the beach. Now, today, President Trump meets President Putin in Alaska. It is a historic meeting in many ways. They're courageous people to do it. So the issue will be many, including the exploration of the Arctic, the exploitation of the resources of the Arctic Ocean, and maybe they will come to some agreement on how that can be done. But the big issue, of course, which will be very outward, is the resolution of the Ukraine conflict, which has already cost the American taxpayer a lot of money, the European taxpayer more than you could ever imagine, changed our lives forever. I didn't want the war, but I have no say. And so one of the interesting points about it is Scott Bessent. He's the Treasury Secretary in America. He's the main man on the finance. And you know the words he used for the European Union? Put up or shut up. You're always telling us what to do. Now, what he was getting at there was that the European Union wants America to impose secondary sanctions on countries that buy Russian products if Putin doesn't agree to the terms they want. Now, there is a divergence between what they want, what the European Union wants, which is total capitulation and surrender by Russia, more or less, and what America is prepared to settle for is probably some kind of a deal that'll half fix it up or try and get back to some kind of normality. They're two different things. So there's a dispute on that issue. Now, by the way, Zelensky's not getting near the place. He won't be let near it, as I said. So I was right on that. Okay. Now, however, what the European Union wants Trump to do, if the Russians don't capitulate, that means surrender, lay down their arms, is to impose secondary sanctions on countries that do business with Russia. Because all that happened when they put sanctions on Russia is that Russia simply got other ways of supplying their products without going through the sanctioned countries. So China's buying away. There has been a meeting in Stockholm with the Chinese where they tried to get the Chinese to stop buying Russian products. And now it looks like there may be tariffs coming in there. We'll see how that goes. We'll not just go there yet. But what Bassent was getting at is that the Europeans are buying oil, refined oil, from India, who are buying it from Russia. And Trump has threatened up to 500% tariffs on countries that do that. And he's threatening India with high tariffs. So the EU is clapping America. Oh, hit India. Hit the Indians and tariff the daylights out of them. Tariff them till they're blue in the face. And that'll stop them buying Russian oil. And that'll put pressure on Putin to come to an agreement. But what they're not telling is that they're buying the Indian oil. One of the biggest customers for Russian oil is the European Union via India. So here we have the European Union lecturing America to tariff the daylights out of India, China, and other countries that buy and sell Russian oil, Russian gas, and Russian products, so as to cripple Russia, while they themselves are buying it as if there's no tomorrow. And that's what Scott Bassent meant. Put up or shut up. He is saying that technically, if the Americans put tariffs on the rest of the world for trading in Russian products, including India, that there's no exception for the European Union, that they're doing it also. So that sanctions should apply to India, China, you name it. Look at name countries, Bangladesh, anywhere you like, and Australia, everywhere. Anyone that's buying Russian products, and the EU. So the EU is doing it too. So that would upend the whole talks with the EU and the whole meeting in Scotland, where the Europeans gave in to Trump and agreed to pay tariffs of 15% across the board on nearly everything. And the United Kingdom paid 10%. So Trump is driving a wedge and making it more difficult for Britain to get back into the EU because that will increase their tariffs. But he makes the point, and Scott Bessent makes the point. Why should we exempt the EU? How can we legitimately put heavy tariffs on India for buying Russian crude oil, refining it, which they do very well, and selling it on to, we'll say, another country, like we'll say Japan, we'll say the Seychelles, Iceland. Well, it's kind of, no, it's not EU. Iceland's not EU. Denmark is EU. Iceland isn't. So Iceland, yeah. Cuba, you name it. I'm just trying to pick a country outside of those. So how can America clap severe sanctions on the produce coming in to it from India and other parts of the world and expect also sanctions to be upheld by the European Union? So we'll say that America says, right, 60% tax on a tariff on Indian produce, all Indian produce. So that'd be oil, but it would also be Indian cashmere wool, Indian whiskey, Amaroot, they make whiskey, Indian mahogany, if there's such a thing. Don't hold me on that. Indian wood products. Are we going to tax the whole lot? Right, we'll put 60% of them till they stop buying Russian oil. And turn around here and let the EU do the same and charge them nothing. He wants the EU to decide before they start lecturing America on how to tax these countries. He wants the EU to ignore the fact that they're breaking the very same rule that they're trying to make. It's hypocritical. It's hypocrisy. And that's what he meant. Put up or shut up. Not very diplomatic language between two major allies in the world stage. Put up or shut up. I'm telling you, the Americans are really putting down their foot. So anyway, the talks goes ahead today. And we'll see what happens. But do be aware, and I think everyone agrees with me on this, these are tense times. It's tension. I mean, it takes courage for both sides to meet up and to get going and get going like that and break the ice on this. And I admire that too. I do admire that, and I wish them well that way. At least when as Churchill always said, jaw is better than war, and they'll get talking. We'll see what will come out. You have to admit, no movie could be as entertaining as what's going on. No movie could be as entertaining. I mean, they're providing us with unbelievable entertainment, but then it's at the cost of lives in Ukraine, and that takes the whole good out of it. Folks, comment underneath. If you don't agree with me, say why. There's no point saying you're stupid or you're an idiot. You have to state where I am not accurate in what I'm saying. Is that okay? To rehash again and just to summarise, Scott Bessent, the U.S. Treasury Secretary, who would be very closely part of the administration, big time, to Donald Trump and his vice president, so he'd be in on the team, has said to the European Union, right, you want us to sanction countries like India for dealing in Russian goods. You want us to do that and put severe sanctions on them, but you're doing it also. So we have to all be singing from the one hymn sheet. If we're going to sanction India, you have to stop taking in Russian oil products and Russian products generally. Russian oil and refined oil mostly, and gas. So you have to stop taking it. Now, why are the EU taking in Russian oil? Well, the renewable energy thing has all collapsed. That's a historic failure, a nothing burger. So why they need it? They need it. That's why they're short of it. The lorries and the cars and the whole lot are running on diesel. And that's distilled fuel. Petrol, diesel and power are distilled fuel. And they haven't come up with an alternative. And their electric cars are running on diesel because they're keeping the generators going with diesel, keeping the power stations going with diesel for emergency. So have I made that clear? Isn't that a very simple thing? And I think and I have to be try and take in some of my people who watching me who are not just fully into this and don't fully understand it. Europe wants America to put big sanctions on India and other countries that deal in Russian products, while it's doing the same itself, but it doesn't want any sanctions put on it. And Steve Basson has said it'll have to be across the board. And if you don't want that, stop lecturing to us, put up and shut up. In other words, if you're going to keep buying Russian products, don't be lecturing us on who we should sanction for doing the very same. Thank you very much. 11 minutes, that's a quick video. Bye bye. Comment underneath. We'll see you. Bye.